Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast. This is Dan here with Big Cass, and we got a unique show this week. We said we're gonna throw it back to the listeners. It's a mailbag show. And we got some questions, some good questions, some people sent in. Um, I think we'll have some good debates, honestly, on some of these.
Yeah.
So, um, I guess let's get into it. Unless you have anything else on your mind, Cass.
Oh, the gameplay for college football that came out, seeing Script Ohio. Obviously, there's still the hate for Ohio State outside of the Script Ohio thing. They
Yeah,
had the Penn State pick six on there.
a walk on it was too, or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. But the game looks sweet. I can't wait. It's gonna be like the longest couple weeks until that game comes out. I know Dan's talking about doing some live streaming. I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy the offline dynasty mode because that's all I'm about. And
I,
just
I'm gonna put this offer out to anyone. Like I think what the plan is with the stream, I'm gonna do one game, one big stream, like game a week. I'm thinking maybe like a Tuesday night stream. I feel like that's a good night to game. But I'm putting this out there. Like if any listener out there wants to smoke, tweet at us. We'll get you on the schedule, and we'll see how many of you we can beat. Like let's run it. Like I'm trying to beat some people in this game.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I'm
Oh
running
my art,
Judkins. You have
yeah,
a scrambling quarterback. I'm running the Urban Meyer offense.
yeah.
We're doing this.
Hey, and my Archie Griffin jersey's on the way that I ordered, so I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be great. But yeah, I was thinking we're gonna do probably Tuesday night, have one big matchup a week, either with a listener or maybe we'll play against, an opponent Ohio State's going to play, or we'll just do some intriguing matchups, just during during the football season and stuff, just to make it fun. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to be doing that, some streaming, getting it set up. I'm working with my buddy who's an expert on all this. And I have no idea how to set up Twitch and any of that. I know how to play the game. I just no idea how to set it up. But I'm pumped. It's gonna be blast cast.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a blast in the glass.
But we got some mail. I guess we'll start with the Twitter because the question on Twitter comes from Buckeye Mob, um, and he asked us who will have more tackles this year, CJ Hicks or Sonny Styles. Embrace debate on this one. This is a tough one. This honestly might be one of the tougher questions we've had.
Yeah, I mean, this Mr. Ohio posed this question today: who's going to have the most tackles for Ohio State? And Eileen said C.J. Hicks, Caleb Downs, or Cody Simon. I think Cody Simon is going to lead the team in tackles.
I agree with
However,
Cody.
I think C.J. Hicks is going to be a monster this year. I think he might have a slight edge over Sonny Styles, but it just depends how much both of them play and how they do it. I would say C.J. Hicks. Um, but it's going to be very close. If you would have asked me what linebacker was going to have the most tackles, I would have definitely said Cody Simon. But CJ Hicks, Sonny Styles fit that mold. Now, you could kind of flip it. Who's going to have the most sacks? I think CJ Hicks will have the most sacks. But could Sonny Styles have the most tackles? It just depends on each game,
I
honestly.
No, I think so. Here's my take. I think Sonny will have more tackles, and here's why. One, obviously, he's played way more than CJ Hicks. We know what we can do. He's produced the past couple seasons. I know what he can do. I think Sonny is better in space. Obviously, I don't think that's a shocker. I just think when it comes to guys getting out on the perimeter, once that happens, Sonny's going to get them. I think.
Yeah.
Hicks has shown at times he's kind of slow in space. He's not slow, but he's not. Sonny Styles is a freak. There's a difference. So I think Sonny will have more like individual, just solo tackles, if that makes sense. But CJ, I will say, will probably be in on more tackles, if that makes sense. I'm like, there's a difference between a solo tackle and then kind of jumping in on the pile.
We we
Uh,
could kind of flip this question too, because I think CJ Hicks will have more tackles for loss. but Sonny
Yeah.
Styles tackles overall, if that makes sense. Because I think when it comes down to running downhill, give me CJ Hicks all day. And I love Sonny. You know this. I watched the kid for 4 years at Pickerington Central, or 3 years at Pickerington Central. Give me CJ Hicks all day when it comes to running downhill.
I also think, I also just think, in depends on the matchup. Like if it's Oregon, like when we play Oregon, I like Sonny in that game. I feel like that game fits Sonny's skill set better, so I think he's gonna have more
Oh,
tab.
him, Lathan
Uh,
Ransom, Caleb, and
yeah,
Caleb Downs.
like against like Penn State though, that's more of a CJ Hicks type game, I think. So it really kind of, and look, I'm gonna be honest, we have not scouted, we have not even looked at Marshall, Akron, like all these teams
Western
that are playing
Michigan.
early. We haven't even gotten to that yet, so I'm not sure the offenses. It really kind of depends on the offense. If they like to get out on the perimeter, if we have more teams that play out on the perimeter, Sunny. If there's more traditional, Big Ten
Iowa.
football, CJ.
Yeah. I did actually get a Facebook question. The guy said, "I hope I'm not too late." Um, my cousin Jason Muncie asked, um, asked, and he listens. Asked, my, my Jason Muncie Jr. Sorry, asked, um, now, who will have the most rushing yards, but who would have the most rushing touchdowns?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like Judkins for both. I think I think, and it's nothing against TreVeyon. I think just when it comes to skill set, like again, skill set, I think TreVeyon, we're gonna just try to get in space more. I think he'll be more involved in the passing offense too. I can see him out of the backfield a little more. But Judkins is our stud. Judkins, I think, is gonna be
Oh,
a workhorse, our bell cow. And TreVeyon, I feel like he's rushed for over 1,000 yards for us a couple times. Like he's been good. But Judkins, I feel like he's definitely I think better when it comes to running over people near the goal line. I think that's a fact. I don't like you can watch them both play. Judkins kind of just gets right downhill, puts his head down. Um, so I definitely think Judkins will have more rushing touchdowns and more rushing yards. All-purpose yards, I'm not sure. TreVeyon, I think, could definitely have more all-purpose yards.
when it comes to strictly rushing, I'm going Junkins and strictly rushing touchdowns. Now, if you flip the question, say who's going to have the most touchdowns and most yards, it's TreVeyon Henderson. Like if you think about this, TreVeyon Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, two best backs in America. Go back to 2004, 2005. Lindell White, Reggie Bush. That's what this reminds me of. Like Lindell White was the workhorse. Lindell White was the guy ultimately scoring touchdowns, won the goal line. Maybe not as prolific as Quinshon Judkins, but TreVeyon Henderson is elusive, like Reggie Bush. Maybe he's not the punt returner, like he probably could, but I say when it comes to overall all-purpose, Trey all day, Quinshon rushing total all day.
I mean, I'll say this. I mean,
I
Trey
think Trey will
Trey,
average
Trey
more
has not
yards.
Trey. The one thing about Trey is he's not consistently shown he can stay healthy throughout the Big Ten schedule. Um, last year he finished with 926 yards. I said he had multiple 1,000 yard seasons. He only had one. So I do have to correct myself what I said earlier. Um, but like in the passing game, I just feel like we haven't really tried to get him involved in the passing game at all. Since his freshman year. Freshman year was his best year in the passing game by far.
And I think Chip
7 catches,
Kelly, yeah.
312 yards and 4 touchdowns, and then he hasn't come close to that. I think the offense, they have to really focus to getting him involved, and I think Chip Kelly will do that.
Oh, Chip Kelly's going to.
Um,
Chip Kelly's going to make the life easy for Will Howard. Like I really think so. I think when it comes I think average rush yards, it's going to be TreVeyon. I regardless, this is a great problem to have. That's a great question. Probably the toughest question we got asked, honestly.
and the funny part is too, we're like debating like who's gonna have more tackles, who's gonna have more rushing yards. I don't think it
Don't
really
know.
matters that much.
No.
Like these are great problems that like it's not gonna matter if Judkins has 2 more touchdowns and TreVeyon has a couple more. It doesn't matter.
I'm
Like
just
I'll just win.
I'm just glad none of our mailbag questions were like who's going to start at quarterback. Like I really like that's what I like.
I agree. No, these are some pretty good ones. Cass, this one we talked about prior to the show. This is a fun one. And you were not annoyed, but you rolled your eyes at this. You're like, oh, he's trolling. But like, I thought it was a good question.
It is.
Sean,
It
your
is.
boy Sean asks, who is the worst starting quarterback in Ohio State history? Um, and if you say Greg Fry, I will literally kill you. Like I will literally fight you. That's my guy. So he is not on the list. Like and he shouldn't be, but I just want to make that clear.
And honestly, we had to do some research on this one, all signs that just because of recent history, all signs people say Kyle McCord. Honestly, Kyle McCord is not even close. But
No.
but in recent history, Joe Bowserman, and he really is it. If you really look at it, he was bad. 46% completion percentage, but 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Um,
Look,
he
I'm not a Joe Bowserman defender at all. He was not good. He's probably
no
is the first quarterback. But when I pull up the numbers, I was like, oh, he only threw 2 picks. I was like, huh, that's interesting. I thought he was way worse statistically wise. He didn't put up good numbers at all. Like these are not good numbers, but they weren't they weren't as bad as I thought.
No, but statistically, the worst quarterback in Ohio State history, and I'm going to butcher his name, Don Unverfirth,
Unverth.
Whatever.
Un
40,
Unverth. Yeah, Unverfirth.
42%. He was a starter from 19. He played for Ohio State under Woody Hayes, 1963, 1965. 47 completions. Completion percentage, 12 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. No, 26 interceptions.
12 touchdown passes and 26 interceptions.
Yes,
Um, Now, Cass, were any of those teams good? Because you're the historian. Was 63, 64, 65 a good team?
they were average. They were,
Average? Okay.
yeah. They weren't terrible, but but that really got me thinking. Because I go back, like, I go back, watch old games and stuff. So I went back historically, the worst season for Ohio State quarterbacks was 1999. Um, Steve Bellisari was a sophomore. He had 101 completions to 224 attempts, 1600 yards, 1600 yards passing, 45% completion percentage, 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Austin Maurerman started against Miami. Him and Bellisari went back and forth. Keep in mind, Craig Krenzel uh, played played for when Bellisari's senior year when he got a DUI in 2001, where we later beat Michigan. So Austin Maurerman in 99, 36 completions on 75 attempts, 5 interceptions, with 2 touchdowns, completing 48% of his passes. The leading passing efficiency player in statistics was Michael Wiley, a running back who was 5 for 5, 123 yards and 1 touchdown. As a season for Ohio State, they completed 46% of their passes that year, 15 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. And that is worse than Braxton Miller and Joe Bowserman's year in 2011, where Braxton Miller was 85, 157, 54% completion percentage, 1,159 yards, averaging 7.5 yards a pass, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Obviously, we know the Hail Mary to Devin Smith against Wisconsin. Joe Bowserman, 40 completions for 86 attempts, 46.5%, averaging 5 yards a pass, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception.
So if you take this is a hot take I'm about to say. This is extremely hot. From a pure, like, statistical and kind of like a mechanical, I don't think Cardale was that good. He just, I mean, he did what he had to do. I love Cardale, legend. Like,
He chucked it to Devin Smith,
I
man.
just, he's not the worst, but he wasn't that good. I
He
guess.
would not been able to throw that sideline throw to Michael Thomas in the Alabama game.
Yeah, like exactly. Like in those playoff games, all he did was just throw a couple deep bombs to Devin Smith, and then obviously he did what he had to do.
Yep.
I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way. Just but like from like a quarterbacking perspective, like would I trust him to go drop back 50 times a game and deliver the ball? Probably not. I feel like in most recent memory, he's probably the weakest one, believe it or not.
Think about this, Dan. Our last 2 national championships that we have won, Craig Krenzel, Cardale Jones, Buckeye legends.
Mhm.
Buckeye legends.
Not the best quarterback.
Statistically, not very good.
I know. No, it's crazy.
So
And
people,
I would like what's wild, I would rather have Kyle McCord. like Kyle McCord had a better
well,
year.
there's a thing with them two. Cardale Jones could run and run people over, and Craig Krenzel could take a hit and run.
Well,
Kyle McCord
they
couldn't
also, I think,
run.
had better leadership qualities.
Yeah.
They had better intangibles. They could
Yeah.
lead on offense. I think
And
they weren't afraid of pressure.
when people sit back that are not Buckeye fans that sit here and say Ohio State's soft, blah, blah, which is bogus. Like, I'm tired of that narrative, the Ohio State's soft, blah, blah, blah. People are talking, oh, they can't win a national championship. They don't have a good quarterback. We've won 2 this century with average quarterback play.
Speaking
With
of
a great rushing game.
he's not the worst quarterback, but literally when you talk about like just not great, but like just like average to bad, Mike Tomczak, I feel like is that guy for Ohio State. He's literally, and what redeems him is like he actually, I think, other than like obviously Justin Fields and CJ Stroud, and you want to make the argument for Joe Burrow. He is the guy who's actually had probably the most NFL success, but his college career was not that good. 32 interceptions. Yeah, 32 interceptions, 30 touchdowns. Well, yeah, hurt. Well, yeah. This is tough. I don't know. I honestly, I think we might have to leave this one up to the people because I can't.
Yeah. This is a question, and I guarantee it on Twitter because of all the people on Twitter, they're going to say Kyle McCord.
I know. Twitter's going to say Joe Bowserman. If I had to bet, it would be Joe Bowserman. But it's tough. I honestly, I don't. The answer is not my boy Greg. If you like, that's anyone but Greg. You could make an argument.
And think about it, Dan. We had great rushing offense, a great rushing attack, great defense with an average quarterback that won us the last 2 national championships. I'm just saying, folks. I am really just saying.
I feel it. All right, next question. What do we got here? Oh, I have it saved on my phone. Chris. Oh, I love this one. This is actually
my boy, Chris.
Chris, this was an awesome one. I love this one. Because this got me like thinking and stuff. Who would you like to see Ohio State play in the first round, and what New Year's Six Bowl would you like it to be in?
Oh, man. Well, first off, let's look up that weekend and see what the 4 New Year's Six Bowl games are. I think Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl are 2 of them. Oh, man, this is.
Yeah, no, the quarterfinals. Hold on, I have the bracket.
Okay.
So, just for transparency and like how it works, it will be number 5 seed versus number 12, number 6 versus number 11, number 7 versus number 10, number 8 versus number 9. With that being said, ideally, I don't want Ohio State playing in any of these because I want us to be top 4. So
we're going with my way too early. We'll just go with my way too early, top 12. So my way too early My top 4: Ohio State, Texas, Florida State, Utah. My 4 teams that are hosting: Georgia, Oregon, Penn State, Notre Dame. Georgia 5, Oregon 6, Penn State 7, Notre Dame 8. Alabama, I'm gonna go with Ole Miss, Miami, Boise State are traveling to 5, 6, 7. So Boise State would be going to Georgia, Miami would go to Oregon, Ole Miss to Penn State, Alabama to Notre Dame. So,
I'm pulling
but
up.
you could do however you want.
Give me 1 second. I'm trying to pull up my list. Of course, when I need it, it's never here.
Right.
Yeah, naturally. Hold on. So the quarterfinals, though, while I'm pulling it up, 2024 quarterfinals, it would be Fiesta Bowl, Peach Bowl, Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl. So like this would be a game. This would be one of the games Ohio State would be in, if my calculations are
And
correct.
you have Ohio State. Would you have Ohio State in your top 4?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What are your top 4? Because mine: Ohio State, Texas, Florida State, Utah.
My top 4 was Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Bama.
Yes, the top 4 has to be conference champions.
Yeah, my list. Okay.
So,
Well, then I'll have probably. I'm not putting Miami as a top, dude. There's no way. I don't. I
do
guess
they win the ACC?
I have them winning the. I have Ohio State, Georgia, Miami, and then they're all. I have one non-ACC team. I have one non-SEC or Big Ten team.
Who wins the Big
Tulane.
12?
Tulane would be.
Who's the win in the Big 12?
I think I put Utah.
Okay.
I
So
think
you have Ohio State, Georgia, Miami, Utah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, if we're gonna be number 1, I feel like I would like us to. This would be a fun one. I would like us to play not Utah, Tulane in the Sugar Bowl.
Wow, that'd be 2 upsets.
So, like, that would be
Well,
fun.
upset, yeah. That would be an
One,
upset.
we get the David versus Goliath. We get to play in our arena, the Superdome, but also it's in New Orleans, so you get all the Tulane fans. So like that would be fun. And like I wouldn't. I think we would stomp Tulane. So like that's why I would want it. But like I feel like on paper that would be a lot of fun. I like that. That intrigues me.
So you would have them beating whoever the number 5 seed is, getting in,
Yeah, like in
getting
an
to the Sugar Bowl.
epic
Okay.
game. Tulane like shocks the college football world. They hype this game up, and then the Buckeyes win like 45-7.
So I'm looking at mine, and I think Penn State could beat Ole Miss. I really do. I think Oregon would beat Miami. Georgia would beat Boise State. I think I think Alabama in Pasadena first round, because I would have Ohio State as the number 1 seed, but Alabama I think clearly can beat Notre Dame. I just think Notre Dame's schedule sets them up to be. So I'm going the 1 versus 9, Ohio State in the Rose Bowl versus Alabama or Notre Dame. Because I love beating Notre Dame. It's just awesome.
I love it. I love how we always stick to our roots. Like you love the Rose Bowl, I love the Sugar Bowl. I feel like we always have the same answer when it comes to these. So I love it though. And then I think we have another question. It was hold on, where was it, brother?
By the way, I would have Georgia beating Utah. I would have Oregon beating Florida State, and then I would have Ohio State, Georgia in the Peach Bowl to get to the national championship. And then I would have Texas. Ultimately, as of right now, I have Texas and Ohio State playing each other for the national championship. Ryan Day gets his revenge on Quinn Ewers.
Rick Reichert's gonna repossess his car at halftime. All right. Well, last question. I think this is, unless we have another. Colin asks if Ohio State lands Pettijohn, David Sanders, and a few others with this. Would this be the greatest class in the history of college football?
First off, Zion Grady, before he asked this question, Zion Grady hadn't committed yet.
Okay.
Zion Grady committed just like was a shocker. Not a lot of people knew Zion Grady. I'm excited for this. Dan posted the stat on Twitter, 39 sacks in his career. His sophomore year, he had 22. I'm excited for Zion Grady. They just got a crystal ball tonight for a defensive tackle, TreVeyon Odom, for the 4-star defensive tackle. Um, Chad Simmons did the crystal ball on 3 for Odom. They have a chance to get DeCorian Moore. Dorian Brew is also a defensive back. All right now, they want 27 guys. If you listen to our guy, Carson, or Caleb and Carson on the Silver Bulletin, you listen to Berm, you listen to Steve Wilfong and all them guys, they want about 27 guys in this class because they know this is going to be a roster overhaul. But if you land David Sanders and Trey McNutt, Pettijohn and Justin Hill, plus some of the guys I just mentioned, how is this not the best recruiting class in the history of college football?
Well, okay, and here it's tough because I don't
And
want
you won't know until they play either.
No, because all right, this article I pulled up top college football classes of all time. On paper, the number one college football class of all time, it obviously was not, but it was 2022 Texas A&M by the numbers. Clearly, the 333.13 rating that they got, that's not it.
Is that that's the class where the NIL checks were bouncing in
yeah, and they were just going dumb with it, and like Jimbo, then no one cared about what Jimbo was going to run. They were just like, oh, let's just get all the good recruits and stuff. Like they have like the 2021 Ohio State team that's ranked highly up there, but like the notable players in that's like Quinn, TreVeyon, JT Tumalawa, Emeka Ibuka. But like it's tough because it's like Quinn Ewers left and stuff, and like another one, it has Alabama up here highly, with like Caleb Downs, and it's like he left, so it's like I can't. I feel like I got to qualify.
It's hard to justify right now on paper. Yeah, you could sit there and say, yeah, this would be the greatest class of all time. Ask me in 4 years.
It's like I don't know. Right now, it's not even the best Ohio State class. I feel like the best one was the one with Bobby Carpenter and all them. That I feel like
that 2013 class was
13 was great too.
Yeah.
But also the Florida Gators, like that Tim Tebow class with the Pouncey brothers too, and all that.
It's one of those things where you sit back, ask me in 4 years.
For now, I'm gonna say no. Because I don't even think it's the best Ohio State class. Show me, like literally show me. Don't I don't care about the stars that this guy is writing.
Yeah, I think Jake Cook, who's going to be our center, dude, he earned it by his effort at camp. Like he puked on the ground. Like he earned that scholarship by he literally just going out and working his ass off. He earned that scholarship. That right there tells me I want that kid in scarlet and gray.
And like, how do you quantify that as a number? You can't.
And he's only right now he's a 3-star, but I guarantee it by the time he finishes high school this year, he's gonna be a 4-star.
And he could end up being a first-round pick. Like
exactly,
he could come here and be one of the best players in Ohio State history. Like
Mike DeAndre was one of the highest ranked recruits in the history of Ohio State. He ended up flopping because of injuries. Like you don't know. Just like I said, ask me in 4 years.
Absolutely. Some great questions. That took us a while actually. I think we only did 5, but we're basically out of time. Wild.
You want to go over we have time to do the stadium rankings on college football?
Let's do it.
Let's see here. Dan thinks I think honestly, if you really look at the stadium rankings and like I think LSU and Penn State should be number 1 and 2. I do think Ohio State's top 10. I think they did Michigan dirty. I really do. But it's a video game. So if you let's go run down to the top uh 10. Kyle Field, Texas A&M, Alabama's Memorial Stadium, Tiger Stadium, LSU, number 3, Ohio Stadium, number 4, Sanford Stadium, number 5, Beaver Stadium, number 6, Camp Randall Stadium, number 7, number 8, Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, Dokes Campbell Stadium, number 9, and Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, number 10. Now, I think Oklahoma, Florida State, and Florida are too high. I would put Autzen Stadium, who's 11, in the top 10. Memorial Stadium, Clemson in the top 10.
I was gonna say, I don't know why Clemson is in top 10.
And
Like, I've seen their stadium. It's beautiful. I hate them, but like it's amazing.
Neyland Stadium should be in the top 10. Um,
Lane Stadium, Virginia Tech, great stadium. I mean, I think it's fair at 17, but Neyland, I
Josh
think, should be higher.
Josh Josh Pate came out way before these rankings were talking about stadium atmospheres and stuff. And my buddy AP said teams like Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, Alabama, like they expect to win at home. Like they expect. That's why lately people say, "Oh, their atmospheres aren't that great." But when teams like Penn State play Ohio State or Michigan, that's when they bring the atmosphere going. And it's just like Ohio State
Yeah,
when you play Michigan, Penn State, the atmosphere is nuts.
absolutely. It's about to kick us off here, but that's all I got. So thank you for listening to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts, and go Bucks.
Go Bucks.